Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to Tuesday, folk people. We have an absolutely fascinating session for you here today. It's going to be an hour filled with music and discussion from some really very interesting characters, if I may say. For those who don't know, my name's Maddie. I'm one of the folk club hosts here at Home Stage. Tom, over to you.
I'm Tom, and I'm the same. Well, I'm not the same as Maddie, obviously, but I'm also a host.
Yes. And for the second half hour, Tom, do you want to tell everyone what we've got?
Yeah, I will indeed. So I think our second half is probably one of the, along with actually the first half, I should say, which is, it's blown me away. Maddie will tell you about that in a minute. But the second half is really quite an extraordinary fusion of styles that, well, I'm really excited to be able to show everybody. I think it's going to be fantastic. Anyway, Maddie, what have we got to start with?
To start with, we are delighted to present Northumbrian sibling folk duo, the Brothers Gillespie, from up in the beautiful and wild rural north. They're joining us, James and Sam are joining us today to explore what their unique sound is all about, their approach to songwriting, and what their view on music is.
Hello. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Good evening, good evening. Maddie, can I steal your thunder for a second? Can I just read a little of the poetry in the first song? Because for the first time in the last couple of days, I've come across Sam and James's poetry, and I've just been blown away by it. Let me just share this with everybody. So this is from the first song. It's the breaking of the dawn and the sweet, the silent morn. There was light upon the hillside, whispering in the corn. A formless thing was I, waiting, hungry to be born. By 1,000 forces and desires I was torn. And so it goes on. Over to you.
Well, I think that we should probably give this song a listen as you've sort of whet our appetites with the poetry, and the music just enhances it even more. And so this first song is called Golden One. Could you two tell us a little bit about it before we hear it?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks, Tom, for reading out those words unadorned by the music. It was quite novel to hear that.
I'm sorry to talk over you, but I just wish I got all evening. I wish this was a poetry session.
Oh no, man! I really appreciate it. Really lovely that you're connecting with the words. It's because we normally obviously think of it like sort of inextricable from the music and the experience of singing it, but it's really nice that you appreciate the lyrics. I guess it's really lovely. So thanks for foregrounding that and saying that. The song is it's a song that's kind of inspired by many things really, partly by I think the sort of personal experiences of our connection to where we grew up in the village where we're sitting now, where our parents still live, in the village of Wall. And the experience of... Sorry?
Is that somewhere near Hexham?
Yeah, it's sort of 5 miles north of Hexham.
Yeah.
Up the Tyne Valley.
Beautiful part of the world.
Oh, it's amazing. James and I were actually we just went on a walk this evening before kind of getting ready for this, and we kind of haven't been here together recently, but we were kind of just reminded what a blessing it is, to have this connection to this place. Really, it's just like it was kind of in this amazing summer's evening, and it just was so expansive and so beautiful, and the valley was stretching away, and there was kind of that play of light and cloud and the fields and the trees. It was amazing, wasn't it?
And then in our mind, this implicit thing of the fell, but it's like in front of us was an ancient kind of village green. It's a very old village built from stones from the Roman wall, and there's it's designed around cattle, and beasts and stuff originally. But then straight up there's this hill, which is kind of in a way where the song, would you say, kind of has some of its genesis, the kind of this we called it the fell. It's you could be there in a couple of minutes if you ran out the door.
Yeah,
and it's just a very magical place.
It sounds it.
But then there's so many magical places. It's nothing. It's very it's not an ordinary place, but then it's nowhere's an ordinary place.
Absolutely, it's just the place that we happen to connect to, you know, because we live here. But
I think you'll hear it. Ready?
I think, yeah, definitely.
You'll hear it.
But can I just say one more thing? Sorry, before you play it, I guess just to say that. Sorry, we shouldn't talk too much. But just that it's not. I guess it's not like just about that. It's a kind of a story song. It's a bit dreamy, you know. Kind of partly it's arising from our experience, but it's also a story of a character, you know, connecting to the land, having a sort of finding their way to freedom, basically, and discovering their inspiration and their strength, you know.
Lovely.
The sweet, the silent morn, there was light upon the hillside, whisperings in the corn. The formless thing was I, waiting hungry to be born by 1,000 forces and desires. I was torn, but my dream was like a star. Of that one thing I was sure, and I rose to meet the journey of the day. That time I was burdened, I was struggling to be free. I despised my education, my fire was cut with fear, born into obligation to be a kind of slave, just to toil for a master, some shelter and a grave, but something burned within that no bondage could erase, and I tended my flame down in the valley. Long hot summer, give her to me again. Unknown lover, I've always known you were my friend. Oh, my soul, 16 years old, and my heart is more than a chest can hold. And roaming on the heights where I swear I smell the sea, I was deep within the stillness, lost in a reverie. All around me was the gentle, drowsy droning of the bees. Felt it coming soft, my life's own destiny, and I wasn't so surprised to see those tender wild eyes taking form before me lightly on the air. Never was I truly open, so absolutely free. Oh, I'd never been so thirsty. Now I drank and drank so deep, and said, come to me again, by the hill beneath the tree, or down in the dark, by the crook of the lea, where the deep waters flow, and where often I did go to soothe all the troubles in my mind.
Brilliant. I will say we've temporarily lost Tom, but I'm sure we'll have him back soon. No, that's absolutely beautiful. That is one of my favorite of your songs. I love it. It's the poetry and the natural imagery and that beautiful harmony. In fact, we've had someone here say, you can't beat sibling harmony. I have to agree. It's just beautiful. It sort of leads, no worries. I was wondering if the main inspiration for your songs, is that usually nature, or if not, what inspires you usually to write?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting one. I would say just, I think it has something to do with longing, and to do with, that feeling of longing for connection, or for a kind of greater experience, like a more full experience of being alive, or of connection, or of love, kind of,
I think we often find that in relation to nature, would you say, or like connection to the
it's
natural
like a lot of the
worlds.
imagery seems to be,
So it's true.
the protective imagery of that longing seems to be the natural forms,
Yeah.
and like the places that are refuge for wilderness.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's nothing really more powerful than nature. We can't really control it no matter how we try. So a lot of that must come out. The power of nature is how you express this longing. No, I completely understand that. It's beautiful. And how would you say that you sort of, how do you put that inspiration into your song?
How do you?
Because I know that previously you mentioned sort of walking and just sitting.
Yeah, I suppose I guess that's quite a creative time for us often, like when we find time to kind of, basically get out into nature and be kind of still. And sort of, you mentioned the walking thing. So in the when we were talking with Maddie before this interview, we mentioned that we have done various sort of long distance walks where we try to connect with place, basically, and sort of sing from particular places and sing to particular places. So, for example, like that walk we did in September through the borders, sort of exploring different border ballads, it definitely had that kind of feeling of a slower rhythm, because we were just walking through the land, and everything kind of opens up, like when you're just walking, and your kind of connection with your surroundings, I guess, and all the phenomena and all the life of your surroundings is so much more delicate and sensitive, because you've sort of stepped outside of your busy modern mind a little bit and sort of entered that kind of that rhythm of the slow walking pace. So I think definitely, like when we find ourselves, lucky enough to have those opportunities, I guess, to step out into nature and be kind of open to it, we find that really inspiring.
And there's something
So
like sorry, Maddie.
No, you go. No, I think I want to hear what you have to say, James.
Okay. I was just going to say about the longing around in the writing of a song. There's how you put that into a song, and for me, that's always in the writing of a song. There's a feeling of longing, and then the need to just almost let go into seeing what forms or words might come, and that if that kind of is always surprising. But then in the singing of a song, it feels like there's quite a different process, but I think it's similar. It's like, even though we may have sung Golden One, hundreds of times, it's kind of, it still feels like there's something alive in there that we want to kind of give expression to every time we sing it. So it's like a living thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as you said, like when you're first creating a song, there's often this sense of like sometimes a kind of transmission, and that might be from a particular place or a particular moment, but there's something that's being communicated to you as well as something that you're trying to channel, maybe.
So you're trying to capture the essence of that place almost. I think last time you said something that really struck a chord with me in that little conversation we had before. You said that you used the concept of a responsive, emotive, magical, living universe. So the fact that it's not just there, it's a living thing, and you're trying to capture that into your songs. I think that you have captured that. I think it's just amazing. And I think that we should probably hear your next one, which is Coventina's Daughter, if I said that right. Could you give us a bit of background on that one?
Sure, but I would just say one thing. I don't think we can capture it. You know, I think it's just words. It's just words, but it's more like acknowledge it or try and make friends with it, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coventina's Daughter is it's a song also about this place we grew up. So the village is called Wall, and it is the line of the old Roman wall. It goes through the fields just north of the village. And Coventina was a Celtic water goddess. She was known by that name in these parts before the Romans came, and they reckon they built the wall a little bit around to keep her temple inside the wall. So they moved the direction of it a bit. And it's just such a watery landscape. It's like we live in the Tyne Valley, the North Tyne Valley, and they reckon maybe the Tyne could have got its name from Coventina or Coventina. And it's just, it was just a song to honor the waters and the kind of wild spirit of the land, really, and the cycle of the seasons, that kind of cyclical nature of life.
Let's give it a listen. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Curly flies over the windsill, and a thrush in the blue singing goes over the hill, and the rivers by our shoulders wash the summer downstream, and the stars they are wheeling over the green, and autumn winds will find us again, and the berries grow red, and the fires kindle, and the crows in the wind they scatter like cinders, and the hair on the hill will rise fires, and the moon in the blue rising higher and higher, and a cold soft wind will blow over the border. The song of stone high places and gushing water, and bless and keep you safe always, the grace of the flowing river to your Coventina's daughter. Sun is setting behind those western hills, but before long, my darling, she'll be lighting those eastern windowsills, and the way the river flows is still the language of our land, and I pray to find more people to hold my hand, and autumn winds will find us again, and the berries grow red, and the fire is kindled, crows in a wind, they scatter like cinders, and the season turns and the dancers are whirling, and it's goodbye, farewell, my dear, for another year, and a cold soft wind will blow over the border. Song of stone high places and gushing water, and bless and keep you safe always. Keep grace of the flowing river to your Carventina's daughter.
Oh no, we've lost Tom again. The internet.
Hello again.
I swear. There's always
Cheers, guys.
issues.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Absolutely beautiful. I have.
He's back.
Oh, he's back. Is he? I can't see him.
There's always issues. It's been such a year of learning, isn't it?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question about something you said last time, where you mentioned how your music almost, or you try to create music to connect places, on this whole idea of singing for a place, because you mentioned France and obviously Northumberland, your home region. And I was wondering if you could sort of give us a bit of information about that, explore that a bit.
Did you hear that?
Sorry, Maddie, I'm just going to have to ask you to repeat the question there. I think we got a little bit of internet-y delay. Kind of thing.
Oh, no, that's okay.
About connecting Northumberland and something, but
it's just last time you mentioned working in France and how you wrote songs to connect France and Northumberland, and the idea of creating a channel between places. And I wondered if you could just expand on that a bit for us.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. It's great that we did ask you to repeat the question, because like France was like the key missing word.
yeah.
So we might have given it a sort of fairly irrelevant answer if we hadn't picked up on that information. So yeah, it's the France thing is a bit mysterious. I hope we're coming through okay. Our stream it's become a bit patchy for kind of what we're seeing, but I hope we're coming through okay.
We can hear you.
So yeah, great. Yeah, so it kind of goes back to this collaboration that we have. It's a group called Hirondelle, which is the French word for swallow, like the bird, or in Provençal, arandola. And yeah, it's a sort of collaboration between a group called Trio Mythos, who are like sort of classical string players, and then some friends of the cellist who are Provençal singers. So they sing in the Occitanie language, which has kind of largely, I guess, ceased to be a kind of widespread spoken language, but it's still a really massive, obviously, part of the heritage of Occitanie. And so these guys sing these incredible arrangements that they've created. They take old Provençal texts and they kind of come up with these melodies and these interweaving harmonies, and it's kind of really intricate and really amazing and wild sort of elemental singing, and really kind of beautiful and melodic. And so yeah, it's a bit of a long story, but they're friends of the cellist in this classical trio that we kind of started a collaboration with. Sophie Renshaw, the violist in the trio, she created some arrangements for some of our songs, including Golden One and Coventina's.
There will be an album coming out. We're not entirely sure when it will be, because COVID has kind of delayed normal things. But maybe later this year, or maybe next step is we did record already an album with Tonkley Siam and Trimithas, so under Hirondelle. And then we kind of, due to this time working together there, we played this very, very magical concert in an ancient chapel in Provence.
Chapelle des Moustiers.
And afterwards, we were kind of playing a tarantella outside and drinking wine, and people were, dancing, and it was just great.
Yeah.
It really felt like we just stepped through a portal in sort of pre-Roman Mediterranean times.
Yeah, it's such an amazing land there. It's that kind of
And that's why you went back.
Yeah, so
you had that kind of rediscovery of it through pilgrimage through the area.
That's it. Yeah, so the story kind of the thread continued. So just before lockdown, I went on a walk, and I'd been sort of really busy. I think a bit too busy before that, but had managed to create this little sort of segment of time to go and walk. And so I walked from the Ventoux mountain, or the foot of the Ventoux mountain, near where Ruth lives, our friend, to the Luberon mountain, and then kind of up onto the Luberon ridge and then down. And it was sort of all in the context, I guess, of this quite mysterious, evolving story of our connection to this place and these people that kind of come about really fortuitously. But when you have these kind of feelings of the universe just suddenly brings something together, and it's quite mysterious how it comes about, but the connection feels really, there's something going on. And we really connected with these guys, Tonkley Siam, in the band, and felt like a really, really sort of special thing. So that felt like a continuation of this kind of thread running kind of almost between this Provençal land in the south of France up to where we're from, which was kind of the dream of the band in a way.
And that's the name of the Swallow as well, because it's, there's so much North African music in the Mediterranean, and that whole kind of melding of cultures that took place in that region. And just, we wanted to kind of honor that spirit of just how music and culture travels and enriches people wherever it goes, rather than the kind of alternative vision of excluding different cultures from each other.
I think it's such a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
And I think that we should probably have our next song, which is one that sort of reflects this idea with you having music and place. And I think it's called Northumberland, and you actually recorded this on the Northumberland Fells, didn't you?
Technically the Cumbrian Fells, isn't it? So this is near James's, so it's
we're a few hundred meters,
Cumbrian.
About a mile inside. I'm afraid for purists out there.
But you can see the Northumbrian Fells from the Cumbrian Fell where we recorded this. But the words are by Wilfred Wilson Gibson, who's a great Hexhamshire poet from, I think he born in 1876 or something, and probably died shortly after the war. Would it be? No, earlier than that, 30s. Much later.
Who knows when he died?
Well, anyway, he's been gone for a while, but he wrote.
I would guess 1962, for what it's worth.
Huh. Okay, but born in the 19th century certainly, and wrote these amazing poems of place, kind of rhymed poems, and this one is kind of basically just a poem of longing and celebration of Northumberland and the land. And we were talking about water before. It has this lovely line: "Land of singing waters, winds from off the sea," and I think actually in some ways both of those lines have kind of inspired, bits of lines in our songs.
Amazing. Let's give it a listen then.
It's very windy, this video.
Bring me to Northumberland, the land of my delight. Bring me to Northumberland, the land of my delight. Ere the land and bentland, black land and white. Land of singing waters, winds from off the sea. Bring me to Northumberland, the land where I would be. Bring me to Northumberland, the land where I would be. Land of singing waters, winds from off the sea. Land and bent land, valleys rich with corn. Bring me to Northumberland, the land where I was born. Bring me to Northumberland, the land where I was born. Heatherland and bent land, valleys rich with corn. Heatherland and bent land, black land and white. Bring me to Northumberland, the land of my delight. Bring me to Northumberland, the land of my delight. Heatherland and bent land, black land and white.
Absolutely beautiful. Honestly, I love that one. The having the wind and the fells in the background, it just adds so much atmosphere to the words of Wilfred Wilson Gibson. And yeah, honestly, beautiful. We are running a bit behind on time, so there's one thing I really wanted to explore, and so I was just wondering if I could quickly ask you about it to give me like a brief idea of that. Is your projects working with sort of history and ancient mythology and things like the Bamborough Bones project and the Bones under Durham Cathedral?
It's a difficult one to give a quick answer to. Exceptionally difficult. We could try.
All right, record time, James. Let's do it.
So, well, all we can say is that we found ourselves working with the bones of the dead a few times. And it's something that kind of rings true for us. And again, it kind of maybe feeds into this longing a bit. With Durham Cathedral, there was all these thousands of Scottish soldiers' skeletons were discovered. And they traced them to young men who were taken prisoner at the Battle of the Dunbar in 1650. Thereabouts. 51. And likewise with the Bamborough Bones, there's these Anglo-Saxon bones. And it's kind of like we're in tuning with these, trying to relate to these people who we feel need to be honored in the present day because they've been unearthed and their history's become relevant again. So yeah, it's something we found ourselves doing, and it feels a great privilege to do that and to try and build roads of longing and belonging through song with the past and people from the past.
Because you're writing songs, aren't you, that sort of are as if you're them? I might have got this wrong, but you're singing
maybe
almost
only
about
thing
a
to add
certain
there
person.
is that the Bamborough Bones thing is
I think we have a bit of lag.
Sometimes we lost you a little bit there. I think you're we're imagining that we are in history. Sometimes we're doing that. Oh dear, we've got a serious time lag.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
okay.
I think both. Like sometimes we're where we are and we're singing to the past, and sometimes it's more like we're imagining the past.
Excellent. I'm so sorry that we're going to have to sort of go to the final song now. The internet seems to be betraying us today. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunity in the future to explore this, because I think that we need to. There's too much to explore here. So we've got our final song, and this is Birds on the Bough.
Oh Lord, I've got your lonesome blues. The night is thick, I'm so confused. My heart is falling through my shoes. Oh Lord, I've got your lonesome blues. Oh little bird upon the bough, you sing so clear, I wonder how, with things so dark and desperate now. Oh, little bird upon the bough, won't you give me eyes of spring again? My heart was like a dancing flame. My dreams poured down like golden rain. Won't you give me eyes of spring again? And I cannot choose any other blue. No, I cannot choose any other blue. The heart is like a burning sun. The light pours down on everyone. Those shadows sway and ease they run. Oh, the heart is like a burning sun. And tonight I have your lonesome blues. The night is thick, I'm so confused. My heart is falling through my shoes. Oh Lord, I've got your lonesome blues. But I cannot choose any other blue. No, I cannot choose any other blue.
absolutely amazing. I'm honestly the biggest fan. And I think a lot of our audience are today. We've had amazing comments. Pauline Creswell said, fabulous sounds coming from you guys. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Maggie Jones, really enjoying this. Helena Handcart, this is sublime. I think that it's just, the list goes on. And thank you so much to the Brothers Gillespie for joining us and for sharing all of their thought-provoking musical interpretations. Honestly, it's brilliant. And we're definitely going to be having them back. I think that there's too much to explore to not. But now we need to completely change our mindset, and we're going into a completely different area of folk music. We are going to be looking at Taiwo Adegoke. I won't go into too much detail because what we're about to have is our first ever pre-recorded interview. As you've seen, the internet's not amazing and it loves to sort of leave us in the lurch. So preemptively, because we were already having internet issues, we pre-recorded the interview with Taiwo, and that is what we're going to play for you now. All the way from Nigeria, I'd like to introduce Taiwo Adegoke. A pioneer in his field, Taiwo, along with his classical guitar, is taking the African folk world by storm. Through arrangements, compositions and performances, Taiwo is proving to be a keen ethnomusicologist, and we're lucky to have him as he gives us an insight into the Nigerian folk music scene. I think we should begin by hearing his first song, or songs should I say. Forgive me for my pronunciation, but we have got Akwukwo Omoto Mo, which is Taiwo's own arrangement of a traditional folk song of the African Igbo tribe, followed immediately by Omo Tomo Iya Reloju, a folk song originating from the Yoruba tribe. Both are arranged for the classical guitar and arranged by Taiwo himself. Really, really beautiful. Thank you, Taiwo. As we've seen, Taiwo, you arranged folk music for the classical guitar. And I wanted to ask, why the classical guitar? What inspired you to learn that particular instrument? And I know that it's not hugely prevalent in Nigeria, so how did you learn it?
Thank you. I've been playing different African style of guitar like soukous, makossa, tuba, high life, and many more. Before that fortunate day that I listened to someone playing the classical guitar on YouTube, and he was playing Spanish romance. It was so fascinating that I was surprised to see someone playing almost the guitar parts of three different guitarists, like the bass guitar, the rhythm guitar, the melody. It was so surprising, and I search out, I look out to how can I get to learn this instrument. This is classical guitar, so I need to learn how to play this instrument. Classical guitar is still a baby society in Nigeria, and we have few people who play the instrument, so it is very difficult to learn. So I had to resort to learning all by myself as a self-taught guitarist. I started as a self-taught guitarist, learning how to play the classical guitar by myself until I was able to meet some experienced teachers like Michak Steven Gogocha, Eduardo Inesta, and the rest of these people who helped me alongside on the internet and were able to come to Nigeria to also teach master classes, workshop on classical guitar. This helped me a lot to learn the instrument, and also many other people too, and that is how we were able to learn and improve on the classical guitar.
Wow, that shows incredible perseverance that you managed to learn it to the standard that you have, almost completely self-taught. That's not something that anyone could do. Very inspiring. Thank you, Taiwo. What kind of folk music is it that you arrange?
I arrange African folk music, starting right now from Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, west of Africa, I've been arranging different traditional folk music from different tribes, different ethnic groups in Nigeria. And that is what I do for the classical guitar.
Why do you arrange folk music specifically and not other genres of music?
African folk music lands mouth to mouth, and this made it very difficult to learn, and most of this music are going into extinction. So this made a need for me to writing all this music, arranging it for the guitar, having a sheet score for it to preserve it for the future generation to come, and also to share our music with everyone in the world. I am very sure anyone who can play the classical guitar and can get some of my sheet score for African folk songs that I have arranged, most especially the ones from Nigeria here, from Yoruba tribe, from Igbo tribe, and some other tribes too, like the Ijo tribes, will be able to play our music exactly like the way it should be played.
I see. So it's like an oral tradition, like the tradition that's predominant here in the UK. You seem to have the same motivations that were common in the British folk revivals, like the need to preserve a dying tradition by collecting the songs, writing them down, preserving them in ink, and needing to sort of teach the future generations. It's very similar. I can see these parallels. What is it that you hope to achieve by arranging this folk music?
Create the interest of classical guitar in the art of Africans, and also to teach little children how to play the classical guitar music, and also in the future to be able to arrange a method for the guitar that will be useful for Africans to learn the classical guitar. Though it is always very interesting, and from my experience, I am able to say that to learn classical guitar for Africans, it is always very good if we make use of original folk songs, their indigenous music to teach. So it is my vision to write a method for the classical guitar which entails enough African folk music for the children of Africa to learn.
To gather your folk songs, you must do a lot of field research, like the kind that you often see in ethnomusicology and other studies of music's social and cultural contexts. Could you sort of go into a bit more detail about your field research?
My ethnomusic research entails traveling to different regions in Nigeria. There are a lot of regions in Nigeria: the South region, the East region, South region, the Southwest region, and many of these. What I do is to meet the specific tribe. I love to arrange their music, and then I go with an audio recorder and a camera when I'm moving, and also getting a translator who can translate these languages for me. And also I'll have to meet old people, old men and old women who are familiar and who knows a lot about their history and the history of the song I'm arranging for the guitar. African music have a lot of stories, a lot of histories. Talk of Olurumbi, I arranged one African music from Yoruba tribe, Olurumbi, for the classical guitar, which you will also be listening to in this program. So there's a sheet score for it. So for me, I have to meet with old people, old men and women, and this entails giving them some kind of incentive, compensation, gift, so that they can get to teach you their music. That's just what I do. I get facts from all these old women who are well detailed with the history of the song. So this is what I do with my research, and it has been working well.
That's really interesting. It draws more parallels with the British tradition, because especially in the first revival there was a focus on the older people. Actually, I think in both revivals there was that focus on the older people because they have been carrying this tradition. So it's really interesting to see. But honestly, I'm so jealous that you can get into the thick of it like that and hear about these amazing songs firsthand. It must be such a brilliant experience. The song you mentioned just in your answer, Labe Igi Orombo, again, sorry about my pronunciation, that's the one that you gathered from the Yoruba tribe, which is your native tribe, I believe. Shall we have a listen? Absolutely brilliantly played by both you and Joseph, and a beautiful arrangement. Thank you, Taiwo. What is your process for arranging folk music?
It is a very simple process which I have tried to jot down, and I would love to share how I do my things with everyone. Now, what I firstly do is getting to listen to the folk song from the indigenous of the tribe I have chosen to arrange their music. That is the first step. And the second step is to verify the context of its lyrics and melody from more than two indigens. Usually, I normally verify this from four indigens of this same tribe, so I can know if the lyrics differs or the way it is being sung, the melody is being sung. The next thing is knowing what the music is all about. And with their help, I make the translation from the indigenous language to English. There are a lot of languages in Nigeria, over 300 languages, so it is very, very difficult to know all of these languages. So what I do is I find someone who can translate this song for me into English that is an indigene of this particular tribe. Then what I do, then I pick the melody of the song I want to arrange, and then a singer can sing it, and make sure that I observe the way the singer sings, and also if there are people to take the part, the harmony aspect of it, I make sure I listen to how it is being done. So I won't arrange the harmony in a way that it shouldn't be. No, Africans have their own form of harmony, the way they sing, the way they part music, and so all these things has to be taken into consideration when I am writing my sheet music too. When I'm writing my arrangement for the classical guitar.
I see. So you're trying to preserve as many of the traditional features whilst also making it suitable for a modern audience, which isn't an easy thing to do. But not only have you taught yourself to play the classical guitar, as well as your ethnomusicological work that we've explored, but you also teach. Could you tell us a little bit about your teaching? For example, the Chocolate Africa Classical Guitar Platoon.
Classical Guitar Platoon is a group consisting of 8 classical guitarists united with a vision to teach classical guitar music in Nigeria and in all other parts of Africa. That is what our mission is, and our vision has always been to make the classical guitar gain its ground in Africa. We have been doing a lot, starting from establishing a classical guitar music school called the Chocolate Africa Classical Guitar Music School. And in this music school, which we started this year, we have some students now that are undergoing training. And not only that, this group of guitarists are trying all their best to arrange many folk music starting from different tribes in Nigeria for the classical guitar, and also making performances of all this music to the indigenous people, and also organizing more concerts, and also letting people to know more about music from other continents too. And it has been a wonderful one for everyone, and this is what we do.
So it's like where you experienced a lack of teachers when you wanted to learn, you're now filling that gap, and you're going to teach the future generation of performers. I think that's brilliant. You're filling the gap that you found. Really, really honourable, in my opinion. We should probably mention then, on top of all of your other achievements, you've also recently published a book. Is that right?
Yes, I wrote a book consisting of my original compositions and also my arrangements of African folk music from different tribes of Nigeria for the solo guitar, the classical guitar, and it is available for purchase at Infected Studio by Ivan Lim. More details about it will be shared, and the sheet scores are available for you to check out for a purchase. I look forward to everyone listening to my music, and thank you so much.
No, thank you, Taiwo. If anyone would like to see this book, we will have the links available, and if you can't find that, then please just email someone and we will put you in contact with that. But I'm definitely going to be checking this book out, and I would highly recommend that anyone has a look, especially if you're interested in the work that Taiwo's been doing with the African traditional music and the classical guitar, of course. Now, something that we haven't really touched on this session, but which is quite an integral part of your music career, is your composing. We don't have much time, but would you be able to tell us a bit about your composing, your inspirations, perhaps?
Now, my composing method and inspiration, most of my music, my original compositions are always inspired by happenings around me. Each time I'm about to make new music, it has to be from the events, from the happenings, from things that happens to me. That is what brings about my composition. And if you check, most of my music is accompanied by a poem or a program note that tells the audience what the music is all about. I hope you can get to check some of my compositions, and my program note will lead you through the music.
Well, luckily for us, we do have one of your compositions to show everyone. The composition is called Igbadun Ian. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it right, but it's or pounded yams in English. And this piece was inspired when Taiwo was making a delicacy called pounded yams with his friends. And this is going to be our last song from Taiwo. Thank you very much for joining us, Taiwo. Let's have it. Honestly, I'm absolutely blown away with how talented Taiwo is. He's only 29 years old, and yet he's managed to achieve so much, not just on the classical guitar, but obviously in preserving the African traditions of not just one tribe, but loads of tribes, and I think that that's not something that everyone can say they've done, and it definitely needs celebrating. And so I'm really grateful that Taiwo spent time telling us about it, and thank you, Taiwo. I know you're watching. We're really grateful. And we've had a lot of comments. Tony Purdy said, "What a talent," and you can see he really enjoys it. Mandy Sposito said, "Wow, that really speaks to my soul. Thank you." But you're a pioneer, and I think I said you were like the African Cecil Sharp, the Nigerian Cecil Sharp, and Tom said something about the Nigerian Bob Dylan. You take pre-existing traditional songs and you put it into a completely different genre. He did it with sort of his acoustic rocky stuff, maybe, and but you're doing it with the classical guitar, and it's amazing. And definitely we would love to have you back on, because there's so much more that you can explore. Both Sam and James and Taiwo, you've really opened up a whole world of folk that we want to get out there. So thank you both. As someone said, from Northumberland to Nigeria, and I'm absolutely blown away by both acts tonight. So thank you. It's been a wonderful Tuesday Folk People session. See you in 2 weeks' time.